webcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning. Can you guys see my slide, the first slide? Can you all see my first slide?
No.
No. Yes.
Now I can.
Yes.
Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. This is Dr. Mengmeng Gu from the Department of Horticulture at Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. On the webcam here, we have Dr. Mike Merchant. Mike, you want to raise your hand? Dr. Mike Merchant also from AgriLife Extension. Dr. Rodrigo Diaz, raise your hand, from LSU Ag Center. Dr. Yvette Zhang from, raise your hand, Yvette, from Department of Ag Econ at Texas A&M. Ms. Laura Miller, Laura, our ag agent at Tarrant County with Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service, and Dr. Gary Knox from University of Florida, IVAS. I think it's important that many of you probably don't realize that we are actually a very big team, and I'm going to show you. Thank you guys, and now you can turn off your webcam. Thank you. So today we're gonna there are gonna be two presentations, and I will be talking about the Crapemyrtle bark scale alternative hosts, and Dr. Yvette Zhang, and she's gonna talk about the consumer and producer survey. So our team started back 2014, as you can see here. That's Mike Erfang. Mike and Erfang is gonna do a presentation later on in July. That's myself, that's Laura Miller, that's our hort agent in Janet Lamenak in Denton County. You know, that was when we, back in 2014, we started to survey, you know, the Crapemyrtle bark scale damage on different plants. My first encounter of Crapemyrtle bark scale, from now on, I'm gonna use CMBS, just a little easier. You know, CMBS I saw in Beijing Botanic Garden in the winter of 2013, and it made me very sad. And thank you, Dr. Gary Knox, for taking this picture. And if you want to know why I was so sad, and if you have never heard of Crapemyrtle bark scale in the terminology and what does it do and stuff, I would invite you to visit stopcmbs.com. Stopcmbs.com, and where we have the resources. We have lots of presentations that we have done before. You can get a lot of information. You could also report if you've seen a Crapemyrtle bark scale CMBS in your neighborhood, or anywhere you travel. Please let us know. So we're trying to see where all these things are. I'm gonna mute some of you if you don't mind. All right. So this work is partially supported by two projects. One is the Crop Protection and Pest Management Project, and the other one is Specialty Crop Research Initiative. So we're, these two federal grants definitely supported us tremendously in the research that I'm going to present here, and also in the next three webinars. That's related to the CMBS research that we're doing. And this is a team. This is this first a group of team members on the crop protection and pest management team. And then later on, we added more folks to the Specialty Crop Research Initiative team, and that's where you see Kevin Hines, Steve Arthur, Jim Woolley, David Held from Auburn, Daryl Harp, and Rodriguez. So I'm going to show you these faces, and these are going to be our presenters in the future three webinars. And in addition to these, we also have a lot of collaborators. For instance, I just got to know Dr. David Dole from Clemson University, who's been working with the city of Columbia to manage this CMBS burst that they just having. So so many wonderful collaborators. I can't really name all of them, but they're all on the stopcmbs.com website. And in addition to the USDA grants, we also get funding from these various entities. Really a big shout out to all of them for supporting our research, for supporting our efforts to manage CMBS. As you'll probably know that we always had this Crapemyrtle problem, and on top of that, if you see that on these black trunks, these black trunks are more likely caused by Crapemyrtle bark scale. So like I said, back in 2014, as a horticulturist, we always say, is there a cultivar difference? Is there a cultivar difference? So we did, with the help of the McKinney Crapemyrtle Trail Board, we sampled a lot of trees, a lot of cultivars, over 20 cultivars, and then we look at their infestation. We were hoping to see there is a cultivar difference, but after we done the scout and the survey here, we realized that this is not exactly a cultivar preference study, because we had no control. The initial infestation level, the initial health, and then the proximity of these trees that we surveyed to a source of, let's say, a heavy infestation or something like that. So this was a snapshot. This was really a snapshot of the infestation level of some of these cultivars at the McKinney Trail, the McKinney Crapemyrtle Trail, what they look like. So it's not a preference. We can't say that on this Natchez or Sarah's favorite white is more resistant than Tuscarora. That's not the case, unfortunately. I mean, it would be nice if we could make such statement, but that was not the case. And I think that really the take-home message from this one is that, well, none of the cultivars here is resistant to Crapemyrtle bark scale. And then we look at the literature. So this is the what shows in the literature. What are some of the alternative hosts of CMBS? And so if I circle these, so these are some of the things that that's of horticultural significance or value. Like this is boxwood, Lagerstroemia indica, and of course that's Crapemyrtle, Lagerstroemia speciosa, that's tropical Crapemyrtle punica, that's pomegranate, myrtle, Turnsdromia. This apple rambles, like blueberry, raspberry, sugarberry. That's the Chinese version of sugarberry. This is Chinese persimmon. And this is a soybean, fig, and this is a Lagerstroem. So if you look at these things, they're like just from different families. This is really a wide range. So, and also in, I think it was 2015, Texas A&M Forest Service reported that they had something similar to CMBS on their beautyberry, which is the beautyberry plant. The infested plant was right next to a big Crapemyrtle, and that was infested with the scale. Then we did the testing. We confirmed what's on the beautyberry was CMBS, was indeed CMBS. And these are just some additional pictures that taken at Shreveport, Louisiana, and also Hammond, Louisiana. I think my grad student Ben took this picture. Okay, so this is Zanan's thesis, a part of his thesis research at the LSU Ag Center, and his advisors are Dr. Yan Chen and Dr. Rodrigo Diaz, and both of them are going to be presenters in the later webinars. So he looked at all these plants, like, this is boxwood, this is persimmon. So some of these things are on the table that I just shown you before. He also included the American beautyberry, and these Cuphea, Heimia, Lawsonia, Lythrum, although these are not on the table in the previous slide, but if you notice that they're all in the same family with Crapemyrtles, and I think that was very genius that Zinan included all these plants, included these plants in the same family in his study, and then he also included Ficus fig, tiger fig, and also Kiowa blackberry. So in his whole list of plants, he did a non-choice. He did a non-choice test, and I'll explain a little bit later what non-choice test is. And of all these, I put a smiley face on the ones that he did not find infestation. He did not find infestation. So these are actually good news. These are actually the good news that these, there's no scales found on these. But somehow, just like we as parents, we often pay our attention to the crying ones, not the smiling ones. So I'm gonna delve into the ones that not with the smiley face. So there's the 6 plants, Callicarpa, of course, Crapemyrtle, Lawsonia, Lythrum, punica, that's pomegranate. By the way, in China, where I'm originally from, Crapemyrtle bark scale is also called pomegranate felt scale. So that explains some of the research that we were doing later on. So let's look at these 6 plants. So this is, just in case you're not that familiar with it, but this is American beautyberry, what it looks like. And this is the distribution. So the green color indicates native origin. And this is a pomegranate. And this blue color indicates where pomegranate is cultivated, is growing. And this is Lawsonia. It's not native in the US. The common name is henna. So people using hair dye products may be familiar with this. This is Heimia. I used to call this a weed, but quickly my colleagues and clientele in Texas, notify me, no, it's not a weed, it's a native plant, and it's native in Texas. So I don't call this a weed, I call this Texas native now. And this is Lythrum alatum. It's native in a lot of places in Texas. So I want you to take a look at this. So this is what a non-choice test that they were doing is each plant is enclosed in a cage by itself, so that there is no other choice. So that's why it's called a non-choice test. There is no other choice except this plant. And he put a little twig infested, CMBS infested Crapemyrtle twig, tied it with this plant, and then observe the number of scales on this plant of interest. So this is the number of gravid females. The gravid females on these plants. And remember, he had a whole list of plants, and we're only looking at these plants, with the gravid females, and the others, did not have gravid females. So that, so basically there, it was not, those plants were not found to be host of CMBS in his study. And in this case, I think, and they just published this last year. It was beautiful. So of course you got number 1, that's Crapemyrtle here. That's Crapemyrtle here. Number 2, very, surprisingly and not surprisingly, if you have seen the American beautyberry plants, infested plants, that the picture that I showed you before, you're probably not that surprised. The number is not as high as as Crapemyrtle, but still significant enough to cause a sooty mold, which significantly reduce the growth and also aesthetic value of the plants. And number 3 is Lawsonia. It's Lawsonia henna, which is not native in the U.S. And then the other 3, there are some damages, but not so much. And I'm really surprised. Remember I said that punica, this is a pomegranate. In China, it's also called pomegranate felt scale, but somehow there's, it's the level is so low. Why? We don't know. So while they were doing that, Dr. Gary Knox got me a whole list of potted plants, 21 different Lagerstroemia, Crapemyrtle species and cultivars. So I just placed them on the nursery pad and waited to inoculate them later on to do the study. And the reason I'm showing you this is because before we could inoculate them, they've already infested with scale from our native population. We don't know how they get them. They definitely not get them from Dr. Knox. I know that for sure, because Florida is the only state in the Southeast where CMBS has not been officially confirmed. So what I want to show you here is that, so during this, we could only call this observation now, in addition to indica and foria, and these two, and the hybrids of these 2 species are the most commercially available Crapemyrtles in the market. In addition to these 2 species, 4 additional species, of course, Lagerstroemia speciosa was on that table, on the table of the previous literatures. We also see scale on Guineensis, Limii, and subcaustata. So this is not something we could publish, but it was observation. So from that, well, additional again, remember soybean was on that list, and this was on the Fuji apple seedlings. So and also Ficus. So these are just in our observations. So with these, under our belt, we're like, oh, let's do a full-blown research, looking at with replications and all the good stuff that needed to get things published, and to make sure that we have the confidence to say that these are hosts. So different from the LSU research and the non-choice research, what we did was the choice test. So in all these cages, we do have a Crapemyrtle. We do have a Crapemyrtle as a choice, and we have the other plants, these other plants of interest. And so basically, when we did do the things, the plants, the foliage of each plant is not touching the others, so that they could move, but still, not as easily as they just crawl over. So we have the Crapemyrtle, and they also have the choice of the other plants. And we did a controlled infestation. What we did is that we removed all the ovisacs except 5. So they all started equally. They all started equally with 5 XX. You may argue that, well, within each XX that one may have like 50 eggs, the other one may have like 100 eggs. Well, and we did the best we can to control the the starting point. So this is what we're looking at. This is what we're looking at. Actually, I would like to focus on the smiley face. The smiley face. Let's just ignore the limii. So that's the limii. This is subcaustata. This is the forii, Kiowa. Let's just ignore these. Let's focus on the smiley face for the horticultural interest. We can see that Lagerstroemia caudata and Lagerstroemia speciosa, these 2 species had a relatively low. And Lythrum is in LSU research. They did a Lythrum alatum, and we did Californicum, just looking at whether these native species will have any difference. So these are all low. What's goofy here? What's goofy here is Lagerstroemia indica dynamite. And think about it. it seems like none of the commercially available. So this is where dynamite is. So I asked my student Ben, I said, what's going on with dynamite? And his answer was that dynamite actually at first got a pretty good size of a scale on them, and then the plant just didn't do well. So that and several died. So that explained the very low number of gravid females on these plants. So I wouldn't say from this figure, I wouldn't say that, oh, dynamite is resistant. I wouldn't say that. I think it's so not resistant that, it died in our research. So, and we have seen death of plants because of CMBS on other plants too. So, but I want to focus on the smiley face here, the Lagerstroemia speciosa and Lagerstroemia caudata. I said that, but then again, I showed this. The reason I cry about Lagerstroemia subcaudata is that if you look at the difference, that it's really it flowers at about the same time as Sarah's favorite white, but it's so floriferous. The petals are small, but it's so floriferous. So it would be really nice to be incorporated into the breeding program to breed for long, big panicles. But let's again focus on the positive. This is one of the Speciosa indica hybrids, and that's why we're so happy that Speciosa, although maybe infested by CMBS, but the level of infestation is so low compared to indica aureae. If you look at the size of the flower, this is why we're so happy that Lagerstroemia speciosa is not as badly infested as the other Lagerstroemias. And in observation, again, if you notice that these are from UF IFAS, from Dr. Gary Knox, on these Callicarpas. Again, we're horticulturists. We're interested in looking at the genetic differences when it comes to CMBS infestation. So we had Americana, Formosana, rubella, and dichotoma. Some may call this dichotoma, but anyway. So we seen some of these scales, on them. So okay, so we also included that. I want to point out one thing out there for the nursery people. There is one plant called Callicarpa mexicana, and I was corrected by a very respectable plant person. He said, that's kind of like a misnomer that it's something made up by people. It's really just he said there's no species called Callicarpa mexicana. Often what we see in the nursery trade that the native American beautyberry on steroids is more a hybrid between American beautyberry and the Mexican beautyberry. So this is a really nice bush of what the nursery trade will call, Callicarpa mexicana. So in the Callicarpa, in the beautyberry test, I think except Americana, it's the American native. All the others, Acuminata is native in North America too. All the others are the Asian or the Asian beautyberries. So if we focus our attention on the the smiley face, the one with like really low infestation level. So we have Callicarpa japonica variety, Luxiense, Callicarpa salicifolia, Callicarpa acuminata, pilosissima, and Baldoneri profusion. So I would say, although we're sad that the Dichotoma americana, these most two common ones, are they could be infested really bad with creamer bark scale. But hey, we still have all the other good ones, not so badly infested. So let's keep our focus on these ones. Other species that we worked on, 3 Ficus species. So all these 3 pictures are Ficus tehua, which is a creeping ground cover in our area, and we did not find a CMBS on Pomela, which is another a wall climbing or ground cover type of ficus. We did not find a CMBS on Ficus roxburghii, which is a very largely very showy ficus. So, there are still a lot of other plants that either has been addressed in the LSU research or some of them not. We just want to take another look at these things. So this is another study that we were doing, and Ron, my grad student, is the one who mainly is spearheading on this one. So we have Buxus, the boxwood, Chaenomeles, speciosa, Diospyros, two more species, Heimia, Malus. Remember the observation that we did before was on the seedlings, and these are the cultivars. Rubus, we have two Arapaho and Primark Freedom, two blackberries, and also we have Dorman Red and Navajo, two raspberries. And of course, we always throw in the Lagerstroemia Crapemyrtle in it as a choice. So we were so thrilled. I mean, we were laughing to our tears that these absolutely, we did not find anything. We did not find any scale after that long time. So the brambles are safe, the native persimmon is safe, the boxwood safe, so these are the things. So now we're gonna look at the others. So these are the ones that we have found pupae on. And remember, in the previous graphs, what I have been showing we're showing the average number of gravid females. The reason I'm showing this is because these two, Malus angustifolia, which is a native crabapple, and then the Diospyros rhombifolia, we only found the male pupae on them. We did not find gravid females on those. So I would say these two are good to go. And of course, Lagerstroemia is the sad face that we see a significant amount of, just huge amount of, scales on them. If you look at my scale, because we really try to, let you see the number of, CMBS, the pupae on these smaller, because if you think about these are in the 500s compared to Heimia, it's 25. So we took a break here, which is we took a break here. So it just none of these plants, the number of scale on them is comparable to Lagerstroemia. So although, if you look at these numbers, maybe they're all below 5, except Heimia. Heimia got a few more, but all the others is below 5. So I would say it's really nothing to worry about at this point, even we have 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 on them. Okay, we also did pomegranate study. And then these pictures are from Dr. New, one of our AgriLife researcher. I do not have all these. I have some of these cultivars in our study. I don't have all, but I simply want to use Dr. New's picture to show you the diversity of pomegranates. This is simply to show you the diversity of pomegranates, and actually, we have a lot more cultivars included, in our study. Again, thanks to Dr. Gary Knox and Dr. Larry Stein for sharing these plant materials with us. Remember, in the LSU research, that the pomegranate, the number of scale was fairly low in their research, and I can't understand why. So I said, we're going to try, because again, back in China, that it's also called pomegranate felt scale. I said, it can be, they should definitely have some cultivar difference. So back in 2016, we did outside on the pad, just open space. We did 3 inoculations. The reason that we did 3 inoculations, because after 1 inoculation, nothing. Second, nothing. We did the third one. basically still nothing. And then back in 2019, we had a smaller number of cultivars, and we did 2 inoculation in May and in June. So this is what we have. This is what we have. Don't let this tall bar, confuse you or misleading you. That's really just 3. That's just really 3. So these are all the cultivars we have found, the scale in 2019, and again the number is very low. So I'm going to show you what the low number looks like. So back in 2016, only two plants, Angel Red and Sambar, only 2 plants, and one, remember we have like 5 reps, but only 1 plant of these 5 reps in these 2 cultivars got 1 gravid female. It's got 1 egg sac on this. So it's like nothing. So this, this is Angel Red, pomegranate, Sambar, Molar. This is a Kandahar, so we're pointing out where the gravid female lives. This is Fuji apple, Red Delicious, the native. This is the native crab apple, Malus angustifolia. This is Chaenomeles speciosa. Sorry about the typo here. Speciosa. These 3 are the photo of Chaenomeles speciosa. This is Heimia. Heimia does, compared to the others, does have slightly high number. This is also Heimia, and these 2 are Crapemyrtle. So really, compared to Crapemyrtles, I would say Heimia is kind of like moderately infested, preferred by scale, but all the others, 1. And I was joking in one of my presentations. I said, the damage of this 1 or 2 egg sac down to the plant is probably like just like a bird poop. And if you don't look close, you may mistaken this by you may say, oh, that may be just a bird poop. So what next? We have confirmed, one of our collaborators have confirmed that Hypericum is one of the new hosts of Crapemyrtle bark scale, and they discovered this in Virginia, and they've also got this published. So that's the infestation of CMBS on Hypericum, and we also have one on Spirea. By the way, that was the Crapemyrtle. There's Abelia here, not infested, and this is the infested, this little poor fellow here, this Spirea. So we have had a morphological identification or confirmation, but we're also waiting on DNA confirmation. So we want to be 100% sure, before we call this CMBS. That's why there's this question mark here. But we're also, well, let's take a look, see what, whether. So we're doing Hypericum and Spirea. Species and cultivars preference study, similar to what you have seen, before that what I presented on Lagerstroemia and beautyberry. And also, remember that study that we did? We took like basically a whole year, and my student Ben is utilizing the electrical penetration graph. So we're hoping that these are the different waveforms generated by these electrical penetration form. So basically, he attached a little golden thread on the back of the insect, and then once the insect starts sucking, it's going to generate these waveforms. So we're hoping to associate these different waveforms to the preference of, to the CMBS preference of different plant materials. So hopefully, instead of doing like a whole year, month and month of observation, on the plants to grow, we're hoping that their sucking activity will be correlated to the preference, to the actual preference of, see how bad a damage that they may do to the plants. So that's what we have for our research. So in the future, Dr. Daryl Harp, Dr. Yenchen Rodrigo, They're going to present mechanical control biopesticide on June the 24th. And June 1st, Dr. David Held from Auburn, Kevin Hines group, they're going to look at, talk about effects on pollinators and beneficials. And then June 8th, Dr. Mike Merchant and Mr. Erfan, they're going to present their data on chemical control. In case you're wondering what this is, this stands for Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service. Just very Texas acronym for our agency. So this is my grad student Mengmeng Gu and Ron and Dr. Chen in biology were co-advising these two students on the research. They're doing wonderful work. So if you have any questions about the research, just email me. And by the way, always don't forget we have this Stop CMBS. We have this stopcmbs.com website where the resources will be posted, and also the recording of this webinar will be recorded. Next, I'm gonna make Dr. Yvette as the presenter. Yvette, you're good to go. Go ahead.
Okay, yes, okay. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm sharing my screen right now, right? So can you see my PowerPoint?
You're good.
Okay. So thank you everyone for being with us today. So I'm Yvette Yu Zhang from Department of Agricultural Economics. So today I'm going to cover two main topics in this presentation. So, I'm not seeing my own screen right now.
Can you advance it?
Yes, I'm just not able to see my own screen right now.
Oh, just click on your PowerPoint.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so the first part of the topic, the first talk today is about the consumer and grower preference that we conduct for the past 2 years. So so we're going to present some findings we think that are important to bridge the gap between consumers and growers. And the second part of the talk today is about some information we think that can be useful to help people in the nursery industry when facing challenges brought on by the impact of the pandemic. So the research team includes myself and my two wonderful research assistants, Pokit Mawa and Alex Jing. So we have surveyed over 3,000 consumers online from all 50 states, including DC. And we have interviewed 79 growers face-to-face from 8 states, and we are currently collecting market data from all 33 Crapemyrtle producing states, and hopefully in this year we will be able to extend to all 50 states. So for the 3,000 consumers we have surveyed, they age from 18 to 82, with average income of household incomes around $75,000. And 81% of them claim that they knew what Crapemyrtle is, and 41% of them claim that they had bought Crapemyrtle. So we look at the factors that affect Crapemyrtle purchasing decisions, and with that consumers and also growers rank the factors they think that are important in purchasing decisions. We use an index called Relative Importance Index to measure how important these factors are when they are making decisions. So if you look at the table here, the table to the left are the factors consumers think that are important, and the table to the right are the factors that growers think that are important when they make decisions. So most of the factors are the same for them. It's just that, what did I do again? So most, I think I accidentally clicked something. I'm not able to see my screen again, sorry about that.
Just go back to the PowerPoint. I think you're good to go now.
Can you see my screen? But
yes.
I cannot see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Yes, but I myself cannot see my screen. So hold on one second.
Yvette, let's present from my end.
Yes, sorry about that.
Okay, let's just present from my end.
Okay, so can you go to slide 5? Yes. Okay, thank you very much. So the table to the right is about consumer, the producer, the factors producers think that are important for making purchasing decisions. So if you look at the two tables here, rankings are very similar, except for one factor, easy maintenance. So consumers think easy maintenance is very important. So they rank this factor the second highest. However, producers think easy maintenance is less important. And then for the other factors, they all think flower color, disease resistance, height are important, and box color is not that important. Next slide. And we also surveyed the most popular Crapemyrtle categories. So from both consumers and growers surveys, they all think Natchez, Muskogee, Tuscarora, those are the popular categories. And the most popular colors are pink, white, and red. And most popular size for consumers are 3 gallons for Natchez, and 15 gallons for Muskogee, and 5 gallons for Tuscarora. Next slide. And when we asked about the most preferred alternative plants for Crapemyrtles, so they all think Magnolia, Hibiscus, and Vitex are the preferred alternative plants if Crapemyrtles are not available. But their rankings are different. So consumers rank Magnolia very high, Magnolia and Hibiscus very high, while the producers put Vitex the highest. Next slide. So now I'm going to switch gears to a different topic. So I want to talk about some important strategies to help the business to navigate the impact of COVID-19 under this current economic downturn. So the first one is conserve your cash. And the second one is about adjust and adapt to new customer behavior. And I'm also going to talk about some of the survey results we found from our study. And the third one is about, we're going to talk about some important government assistance programs that can be helpful for the business, especially in agriculture industry. Next slide, please. So cash is king. So I recommend a very good reading. So if you have time, that was published by J.P. Morgan Chase Institute in 2019. So they collected data from nearly 600,000 small businesses in 2015. And their analysis shows that half of small businesses only have a large enough cash flow to allow them to stay in business for 27 days. And this buffer time is even shorter for labor-intensive industries. So it's very important to monitor and conserve your cash to maintain liquidity and level of flexibility and security under this stage. And if you want to borrow money, if you want to apply for a loan, I think it's safer to choose fixed interest rates. Next slide, please. And then another important strategy is to adjust and adapt to new customer behavior. So in previous slides, when we say half of the small business can only last for 27 days with their cash. That is when they are not able to bring in any money. But if you adjust to new customer behavior and being smart with your business strategies, and then there may be still a chance that we can still be healthy in current economic situation. So in our surveys conducted in March and also in April this year, we found that more than 45% of our survey participants saying that they are actually spending more time in gardening during COVID-19 outbreak compared to the same season last year. So you see here, 45% of people spending more time in gardening, while only 19% of them saying they spend less time. So that means even as business across America shutter amid COVID-19 concerns, so the nursery industry or the gardening industry may still have chance to hold strong. Next slide. Next one. Okay, so to the left, I'm showing a poster here in World War I, when so this poster is sow the seeds of victory to encourage Americans to go victory garden. So during a time of social distancing and self-quarantine, fortunately, gardening is one of those hobbies that don't need to be put on hold. So, for example, according to some news report, some seed company actually sold more seeds than any time in its more than 1 year history in their business in March 2020. And there are many. So, if you look at, if you follow the news, there are many news about that. While many businesses are struggling to stay open, many garden centers actually see increase in demand for horticultural products, and they see many more, like the first time new gardeners in their business. So next slide. Next slide. So this is in our survey. What we found that we look at the trend in consumers' expenses in horticultural products under COVID-19 and in different plants. The first one is about different plants. So if you look at the green bracket here, this is about their expenses in vegetable and fruit. So the blue bar is the percentage of people with decreased purchasing, and the orange bar is the people with this doesn't change. Their expenses don't change much, and the gray bar are the people who claim they spend more in those products. So you see here for vegetables and fruit, so consumers spend so a high percentage of consumers, they claim that they spend more expenses in vegetable and fruit. But if we look at landscape plants, especially landscape trees, so the increase in purchasing is lower compared to increase. Still, like we see the increase in 18% of people claim their purchasing in landscape plants are increasing. It's just not as significant as the increase in vegetable. So it's most significant is vegetable, and then it's fruit. 30% of people spend more money in fruit. 38% of people spend more money in vegetable. 22% people spend more money in forest type plants. Next page. And when we look at gardening plants, so we see significant increase. So if you look at seeds and small plants, those are most significant. Nearly 30% increase. People claim they spend more money in seeds and small plants, and also for soil and compost. 30% people claim their purchase increasing, and also for gardening accessories like glass garden tools. And I myself actually purchased some new gardening accessories for my son. So we see here consumers' shopping patterns, expenses really change significantly in horticulture business. Next slide. Next slide. So we also look at the change in their main purchasing outlets, and that's something I want to emphasize here. So of course, due to the quarantine orders, due to the restrictions about social distancing, we see significant decrease. If you look at here, so blue bar is their main purchasing outlet percentage of their main purchasing outlets before the outbreak, and the orange bar is their purchasing outlets during the outbreak. So before the outbreak, nearly half of the consumers they choose in-store purchase. But during this outbreak, only 16% of them still choose in-store purchase. And then if you look at this green bracket, so those are online orders with in-store pickup, online orders with mail delivery, online orders with store delivery. So we see the most striking increase here is the online order with mail delivery. So now 30% of customers, they choose this outlet. But interestingly, we also from our market analysis data. So if you look at the figure to the right, this pie figure. So only 30. So there are 43% of the nursery business in the market don't have a website. And then, so the rest of them have websites. So it's roughly around 57% of business have websites. However, only 12%. That is from our market data right now. Only 12% of business have websites with online shopping options for the consumers. So you see here, really, there's a gap between demand and supply. Next slide. Next slide, please. So it's very important that we adapt and adjust to the new customer behavior. So many experts have predicted that COVID-19 is a health and economic crisis that may have a sustainable impact on consumer attitudes, behaviors, and their purchasing habits. And some of their behaviors may be changed permanently, so even after this outbreak. So say if some people, they like online shopping, they just like it, or they like to go in-store shopping, they like. So many of behaviors we stay for a while. So it's very important to know your marketplace, know your customer or consumer needs, and then adopt a proactive approach to understand what may occur and what change may occur, and be ready to adjust your product, service, and strategies to quickly to meet current and future customer needs. Next slide. So now, lastly, I want to mention that there are many government assistance programs and resources available to agriculture business. So USDA website is very important. Is a very important resource for people in agriculture business. So USDA.gov. So and beginning yesterday, actually, the USDA through SSA, they are accepting applications from agriculture producers. And so the program details specific for agriculture commodities can be found at farmers.gov. So it's very easy to remember, farmers.gov. And so like for myself, I always trust the website with .gov website more. And also, U.S. Small Business Administration, SBA, now is also making their programs available for agricultural producers. For the past, for more than 30 years, SBA has been prohibited to provide assistance to agriculture industry due to the law, and now they are also making some of their programs available to agriculture producers. So now it's very important to this is another important resource to look at, that is SBA.gov. And one thing to remember, besides all these resources that are specific for COVID-19 relief, there are many programs that are continuing to receive and process applications as usual. So, just make sure you check all those USDA website, USDA Farm Service Agency, and farmers.gov to make sure that you get your support from government assistance programs. Okay, so next slide. So that's pretty much I want to talk about today. And so we will be conducting more surveys this year. And so your input and suggestions are very welcome. For example, if you want us to include some information in our consumer survey, like what you want to know, what you hope us to include in our surveys, and later we can deliver this information to agriculture producers. So feel free to let us know, and thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Dr. Zhang.